Welcome to the final episode of the Resonant Body, a three-part podcast series exploring how energy and frequency shape our biology, behavior, and self-care. And I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Greenwell. In episode 1, we explored how subtle energy influences the cell communication and the language of healing on a molecular level. And then in episode 2, we traveled into the biofield, uncovering how the chakra system and the heart line support balance and flow. Now in episode 3, we complete the journey by examining musculoskeletal regeneration and how frequency and field intensity support the structure of the body itself. We'll explore how vibrational energy affects muscles, joints, fascia, and connective tissue, and how we can engage the body's regenerative potential through vibrational alignment and conscious rest. Our guest is once again Dr. Christina Ross, whose research and clinical insights continue to bridge physics and healing with practical application. Hello, Christina.
Hi, Michelle. I'm happy to be with you again.
I'm just going to do a little background on Christina in case you didn't listen to the first 2 episodes. We'll invite you to go back to those. But Christina is a board-certified polarity practitioner, registered polarity educator, and she holds dual bachelor's degrees in psychology and physics from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro and a PhD in energy medicine from Akamai University. Her dissertation explored the therapeutic effects of low-frequency pulsed electromagnetic field therapy on inflammation and pain markers. And from 2009 to 2021, she worked as a biophysicist at Wake Forest School of Medicine. She was investigating the effects of electromagnetic signals on cellular communication. She now consults on an N1H-RO1 clinical trial exploring PEMFs, so that's the low-frequency pulsed electromagnetic field therapies, that impact on patients with interstitial cystitis and painful bladder syndrome. A leading voice in energy medicine research, Dr. Ross helps make cutting-edge science accessible, helping people understand how vibrational healing supports long-term wellness. Now, before we can dive into this deep topic, and one that I'm so passionate about, we need to get the tea started. We need to get our intention in place so that all the people listening have a chance to have a healing session today. So, what have you got in your cup today, Christina?
So today I chose a Yogi brand lemon ginger tea, and I'm drinking it from a mug that my
Oh,
sweet
wow.
sister-in-law hand painted with ink pens, and it's kind of in the style of Starry Night. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with that kind of art, but
Van Gogh?
yeah, Van Gogh does like it almost looks like it has energy fields in his work. I noticed that. But she painted the Blue Ridge Parkway on my coffee mug for me since I live in the Blue Ridge Parkway. So every time I drink from this mug, it reminds me of my sister-in-law, who I adore. So
Oh,
here's to her
oh,
and to
beautiful.
you.
Thank you. I'll have a sip with that. So, lemon and ginger, we have so much beautiful healing power in that.
It
I'm
does. It aids in digestion. It helps to boost your immune system. It reduces inflammation, which is my work with energy fields, and it can relieve nausea and upset stomach.
It's a great, I know for a lot of people, when they come up to me in the market, they're requesting lots of times ginger and lemon.
It has such a good refreshing flavor when you
Mhm.
sip it. It kind of comes in as lemon and finishes off with the ginger in my taste buds.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful because I think people often think of tea as only having one flavor. And if
Mhm.
you drink your tea really, really hot, it doesn't even have flavor, it has hotness.
Right.
And taste buds don't even get to register that flavor. So it is lovely to know that the tea has layers and they unfold for you. And then you have this awareness of one and what that means for the body, and then the awareness of the other. I don't think people think about that too much either.
Yes, and I'm always really conscious of letting it steep for 15 minutes at least so that all the herbs can blend with the water. Sometimes people do tend to sip it a little too hot, as you said, and you're not getting the full flavor of the tea.
Mm-hmm. And it changes too. As it starts to cool off and goes to cold, there's completely different flavors evolving with it,
Right.
which is what I also enjoy.
Mhm.
Because I'm make the cup of tea, don't always get to the cup of tea, and I'm drinking it all day long. So it could be in different temperatures, and it's lovely to dive in and go, oh, this is beautiful, and then 25 minutes later, it's like, oh, this is lovely, and same cup of tea.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to feature Golden Serenity Tea. This one is part of the Harmony Blend series, and it is one to really ground and center people, which is the same as what you chose. The affirmation on the package, I'm just going to read it off the package here. Soften the desire to push through. With confidence and an authentic self-love, welcome peace within. And I just want to invite people to think about how many times in their day they push through. They run out of time. The list is sitting there. They thought they could do way more than they could, which is all of us.
Yes.
And sometimes it's an activity we didn't really want to do, but we push through anyway. And the pushing through, if we don't ask permission of our body, means more stress goes into the system. And this is a way for us to stop for a minute and say, okay, if I need to finish this, can I please ask my body permission to do that extra 10 minutes in the garden, that extra 10 minutes with the vacuum cleaner, but doing it in a peaceful way rather than in a stressed and tight way. So if you're listening to this podcast now, at this point, you're thinking, in what way am I pushing through some of the things I'm doing? And if I stop right now and change the way I'm approaching it, how might the day unfold for me? A little bit different. And this tea actually has black tea and green tea in it. So it has a mixture. And I want to just bring forward something that continues to come up for people. The caffeine, I have so many people who avoid caffeine, and caffeine is great for inflammation, which I know we could talk down that road too. But what is important is caffeine that comes from a coffee gives the system an adrenal jolt and just really heightens everything. And that's the way caffeine is. But the caffeine in black tea, and the same with the green tea, but mostly with the black tea, is that it has this calming effect because it has, and I hope I say this correctly, L-theanine.
Hmm.
So it has that combined together with the caffeine creates a calming effect for the nervous system. And I wanted to bring that forward today because so many people ask me about that, or they say, I'm not taking any caffeine. And there are so many great healing components to having caffeine in your tea. I
I
didn't want people
agree.
to just push it aside.
I totally
So,
agree. Yeah.
all right. So I'm going to focus though today on green tea and lemon balm. So green tea, spiritually, it's known for clarity and wisdom, and it helps provide an antioxidant support. So really lifting the cells up, and for vibrational alignment. And I chose it because I know where we're heading for our conversation. It encourages receptivity and a gentler relationship with the body's pace to do repair work. And again, that's that back to the affirmation, asking permission. If I do have to push through, is the body prepared for that? And can we do it so we're not sacrificing a repetitive action by one part of the body? And it's okay to be able to repeat something because it said, I can handle it. And the second part is lemon balm. So this plant is a soothing powerhouse. It's known to regulate the nervous system and then uplift the spirit. And lemon balm carries the energetic imprint of peace, protection, and cellular restoration. So if you're trying to find a little bit more peace in your day, nice and calm, then lemon balm combined with this green tea and a little bit of the black creates a great opportunity. So with that, thank you, Christina, for letting me explain all those pieces. And
Yes.
I'll say cheers to you from my end. And my little cup today
That's
is with
beautiful.
It's got almost it's tulips on here, which would be spring, and butterflies. But also, this looks very much like all the daylilies I just finished harvesting for
Mm.
another cup of tea I've got. All right, cheers, and thank you for doing this three-part series.
Oh, my pleasure. Cheers.
So as we've sipped on the tea, we hope you've shared that with us and taken time to sip as well. And now we've put in place the affirmation that we've talked about, the spiritual essences of all the ingredients we've talked about, and they're going to be playing within your cell structure while we dive into some of these topics. So let's get to the musculoskeletal system and how it responds to frequency, and then what that means for healing. Can you share the delight of this?
Okay. So the musculoskeletal system is made up of bone, muscle, cartilage, tendons, and connective tissue, like fascia. And my colleagues and I published several papers on the benefits of low frequency pulse electromagnetic field therapy to heal these tissue types. So let's talk about bone healing. So pulsed electromagnetic field has been reported in my studies and other people's studies to stimulate cell membrane ion channels. These would be calcium ion channels, potassium, sodium ion channels, and these ions have charges on them. And so when they're pushed and pulled by an electromagnetic field, they create a rhythm in the cell's membrane. The PEMF can also affect gene expression that is associated with bone formation and repair because the signal penetrates the cell membrane, passing through the cytoplasm into the cell's nuclear membrane and into the DNA. So it's affecting the chromosomes and the genetic regeneration ability of these tissues. Okay, so we also studied how the pulsed electromagnetic fields can decrease the production of pro-inflammatory molecules such as tumor necrosis factor alpha and cytokines or interleukins that are associated with pain and inflammation. Now, this is the basis for my research. How can a harmonic energy field that the body searches for in order to repair and regenerate itself align the body's signaling systems to create repair and regeneration? Another thing the frequencies do is they stimulate angiogenesis. So, angiogenesis is the formation of new blood vessels, and this is crucial for bone and tissue repair because vessels carry blood and oxygen to the cells, tissues, and organs. I mean, this is just basis for regenerating any type of tissue. And it also repairs muscle. It does this by increasing muscle cell proliferation and regeneration, and by regulating proteins involved in the response to cellular damage and oxidative stress. So it affects the musculoskeletal system in many ways.
When you said right at the very beginning, you opened with the pull of the electromagnetic frequencies outside the body that are pulling and
Right.
pulsating for us. And I was thinking, I don't think we ever really think about that as one part, but also um, get excited about this incredible dance that is going on around our body without our knowledge happening, and how our cells just respond in this energetic way. It's so beautiful.
It is. And if you think of electricity as a pushing current and magnetism as a pulling current, the beauty of electromagnetics is that it's light. I've talked about this before, and light is what comes out of our hands and it comes out of these medical devices. And when that energy gets stuck or stagnant, it's almost like a jump starting, a low battery or something. You push and pull with the positive and the negative connectors on the battery, the jump start of the battery. So it's really similar in that respect.
And the other piece that you just said there was you've got that light coming out of the hands, but you also have it coming out of mechanical apparatuses that have been created.
Right.
And I just wanted to bring that forward because so often people will say or understand that the mechanical apparatus works, but forgetting that we own that. It's in our hands. It's in
Right.
our feet. We have
Yes.
this ability to also create similar things, and we don't need the device. It's right there in our hands.
We do, and nature built that in. And this has been measured by two different groups of researchers that the energy coming out of um, healers' hands ranges from like zero point 0.3 to 30 hertz. And if you set your medical device to the same frequencies that come out of hands, you get very similar results. It doesn't matter if it's the hands or the medical device. It has to be
Wow.
harmonic. Remember, noise is distractive and destructive. Harmonic is healing and reparative.
Right. So those electromagnetic frequencies, like our smart meters that have that blinking tic tac kind of sound that goes off, is a disruptor.
Hmm.
And then this would be that harmonizing kind of frequency.
Therapeutic, right.
Yeah.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. So if we go to something like the connective tissue, like the fascia, um, it's storing and releasing energy in the body. Can you talk about how the fascia works?
Yeah, fascia is beautiful. So there are indications that fascia is electromagnetic in nature. And fascia can transmit energetic signals all over the body due to its conductive substance makeup. Since fascia is everywhere in the body, connecting all the body tissues, it is similar to a worldwide web of a communication system in the body. Okay, so that being said, fascia can store mechanical energy in the muscles and the bones. And I don't know if people are aware, but your bone can stretch and retract, not like muscle, but that stretching and retracting movement is has an energetic frequency to it too. It's similar to like a spring, like when you pull a spring apart, there's stored energy in that because when you release it, it's, you go from potential energy to kinetic energy. And then when you compress the spring, you also store energy in that as well because when you release, you go from potential energy to kinetic energy. Fascia also transmits force generation to muscles and bones during movement, and it acts as a conduit, distributing the force equally and evenly. So you don't break a bone or tear a connective tissue. You don't tear tendons and cartilage and muscle because you have this flexibility as long as the energy is moving in and out of the system in a rhythmic fashion. When it gets blocked, then you have problems with damage to the tissue. And by storing and releasing energy, fascia contributes to movements like jumping, sprinting, and making the body move more efficiently and requiring less muscular effort. So you don't hit the wall, you don't run out of energy faster. When fascia is healthy and flexible, movement is smooth and efficient. However, when fascia is damaged or restricted, it can hinder movement and lead to pain. Myofascial tissue release therapies help to restore flexibility and reduce restrictions in the fascia. These would include rolfing and trigger point therapy, as well as massage therapies.
And you're just so beautifully describing the power of Tai Chi.
Ah,
I was
great.
just I was saying how beautiful. You just touched on all the pieces because our spiraling action that we use in Tai Chi is doing that bone shifting. So as you were describing how the spring was working, there's that spiral action of the bone that we play through with the way we're moving.
Mhm.
Um, and then the expansion and contraction piece, as we do all of that, we're storing energy
Mhm.
and it's waiting for us to be able to use it later. So I just loved how you brought it in from the science background because I say it all the time from the movement based background, and it was just so lovely to hear it in a different way.
Oh,
Um,
good.
and when we do low cup, the second part of low cup really dives into the fascia and into the connections with the organ system. So I just want to bring that forward for people too, because a lot of times they're thinking about the arms and the legs
Mhm.
and those muscles, but you've got everything that's happening in the core of the body that is really affected by the electromagnetic frequencies within that fascia too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So where do we want to go next?
Field intensity.
So in biophysics, we're talking about field intensity and then how it supports structural healing. So
Yes.
can you take us down that road?
Right. So I'm a biophysicist, so I study how energy affects biology. And in biophysics, field intensity refers to the strength of an electromagnetic field acting upon biological systems. These include cells, tissues, and organs. The intensity is different than the wavelength. The intensity is how many times the signal crosses. It goes into crests and troughs, a baseline. Okay, so if it pulses 10 times in a second, that's a 10 hertz frequency. 1,000 times is going to be a lot more intense in 1 second, right? So these intensities are measured typically for electricity, it's volts per meter, and for magnetism, it's Teslas. And biological systems naturally generate their own electromagnetic fields. And this plays a crucial role in regulating various physiological processes, and this includes structural healing. After an injury, pulsed electromagnetic field changes in the wound or the torn tissue area. Now, this electromagnetic field change acts as clues for cells to initiate and coordinate the healing process. So, applying pulsed electromagnetic fields can mimic and amplify the effects of these natural fields, influencing cellular responses and accelerating healing. Now, how exactly does this work? We published papers on this. So, cell migration and directional clues. When you apply electric fields, at strengths that are comparable to what your body puts out. These are usually less than 100 millivolts per millimeter. This can direct the migration of cells to essential wound healing. Okay, now cells such as keratinocytes, these are for your skin, fibroblasts, this prevents you from bleeding out. They're basically scar tissue. And macrophages, which are immune cells, will migrate across the body towards the wound, wherever the tissue is torn or there's an open gash or whatever. This migration is called electrotaxis for electrical signals or galvanotaxis for magnetic signals. Okay, so these signals in the tissue, the damaged area, ensure cells move in the proper direction to repair the wound. So, pulsed electromagnetic field can be a guiding signal to help the cells know where to go. I found this
Wow.
fascinating when we were publishing this. Cell
Yeah.
proliferation and differentiation under the appropriate fields intends, in, can stimulate the proliferation and differentiation of various cell types essential for healing. Now, these include directing stem cells to heal, osteoblasts, which are baby bone cells, and chondrocytes, which are baby cartilage cells. The signal guides it to where the damage is done so it can begin instantly repairing the tissue. Now, signaling pathways regulate cell survival, growth, migration, and other processes that are important for tissue repair. It also, as we talked about, initiates angiogenesis and blood flows to improve circulation and deliver oxygen and nutrients to the injured area. It also controls inflammation. If inflammation goes out of control, it's really difficult for the body to regenerate tissue. My research, along with other studies, have shown that pulsed electromagnetic fields can regulate inflammatory responses and potentially reduce inflammation and pain associated with the healing process.
Wow. I was thinking about, when we take cell structure, I don't know, grade 5. I'm going back a ways, but thinking about that cell is a skin cell, or it's a heart cell, or it's a muscle cell, and then it just stays in one place. It's when you put it on the page, it's static, and then once it's in the body, I think we think about it in the same way as a static piece. It never occurred to me that cells would be migrating, chemicals would be migrating. That's what I was thinking, but not that the actual cells would be moving in that capacity. It's in awe how the body then responds to an injury And then once the injury is repaired, how it then moves itself out of that space and back into homeostasis.
It does, and it knows when it's done enough. Because if it overreacts, you have opposite problems. So you want it to go in, repair the damage, and get out of the way for the body to heal itself. It's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty.
And that's where I'm thinking back to how we started today, which was not to use that force, because the body needs that fluidity in order to be able to travel and have the cells get where they need to go and the chemical reactions. And then it needs the ability to release all that and send it back and be absorbed. So if we're doing things with stress and push and contraction, there isn't space for that to happen.
That's an important point, Michelle, because a lot of times healers can reach into the field and see distortions, feel distortions, hear distortions. It depends on your clairvoyance or whatever you're using. And they want to kind of push on the system. It's important to send a template, a signal, and then kind of get out of the way to see if the body responds. If you continue to push, it can cause an overreaction in the body to kind of push back. It's Newton's third law, what you push too hard on will resist. And so go into the field like with a feather, like Jim Osmond says, don't hit it with a hammer. Go in, say, this harmonic signal is what you need to follow, and then get out of the way and allow the body to rebalance the field and respond.
I'm thinking about, for people that have followed me for a while, they will have heard me say the difference between giving and offering. And that one has a push, and the other one has that I'm here for you, I'm available, and then stepping back. And
Yes.
it changes the way that the response happens on the other end, because you can imagine cells that have been broken up and that area that's been damaged, knowing it needs to receive, but then being overwhelmed, and then it can't cope, and it just creates chaos. Then you have that resistance piece that's going to slow down your healing process.
It
Um,
is. I mean, it makes us humble as healers, to say, I'm here, I'm present, I can show you a template or facilitate what you already know how to do. Let's just stay in harmony, and that presents the most healing environment.
mhm, mhm. So as people are listening and they're thinking about how they approach themselves with their self-care and where they give themselves things because they think it's good for them, rather than offering and seeing what does the body need and how does it feel to have that in the space. And it works with herbs, it works with activities, it works with water, just being able to put the water in, but also having intentional water and just gently suggesting. So if you've been kind of attacking the self-care idea, then maybe thinking about how you could step back and start to be more aware of what the experience is. How does it feel? How does it feel for the body to be able to respond and ask for something more, or to ask for it to be released? I know
Yes.
that sounds kind of crazy if people haven't been talking to their
No.
bodies, but yeah.
Now, the body will always tell you what it needs. It's up to us to listen.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. All right. So if the body's trying to regenerate after injury and inflammation or long-term stress, can you just describe a little bit more about what the body's doing there?
Yeah, so I work at the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine. So that's what we do. We study the body's ability to heal itself, and then we try to replicate that. So that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. And working with that and how energy fields affect that regenerative process. Energy fields have been, this is published data, support regeneration by regulating inflammatory responses. And this is where I really went into the core of the work, because a lot of the regeneration that goes on in the lab is how to regenerate body parts, organs and tissue types. But I found that if the body is highly stressed with inflammatory responses, it stores energy and won't regenerate it until it gets the immune system under control. And my research and other people's studies show that pulsed electromagnetic field therapy regulates the balance of inflammatory and anti-inflammatory cytokines. These are protein molecules that aid in the resolution of chronic or acute inflammatory response. This hinders healing. Okay, so PEMF therapy has shown to promote cellular repair and regeneration by stimulating cellular energy production. This is known as adenosine triphosphate. It's just the fuel that the cells put out. This improves circulation, increases oxygenation, and it reduces pain and swelling by regulating those ion that are associated with pain and inflammation. And it enhances cellular communication. Okay, cells talk to each other. They pick up signals in cell-to-cell communication responses, and they can do it by receptors picking up molecules or antigens in their environment, and then they bring that information down through the cell membrane into the cytoplasm and into the DNA in the nucleus. So the signal can pick up a molecule signal or can pick up an electrical signal. And these would be in cells like neurons or hormone endocrine cells, things like that. So they signal a little faster than just with a molecule. You know, electrical signal is going to be quicker. Pulse electromagnetic field regulates stem cell behavior and tissue repair, and to heal wounds, like we talked about earlier. The signal will go from cell to cell, and once a critical number of cells know we need to migrate in this direction and we need to take these next steps, more cells join in. It reminds me of the signaling between bees in a beehive and maybe ants in an ant farm, where they all kind of know where the pollen is, or they all kind of know where the eggs need to be stored in the system. And this to me smacks of sentience. Okay, now there's been a lot of controversy around calling cells sentient entities. But once they have a critical level of communication, they all start behaving in a very coherent manner. And this speeds up tissue repair and regeneration because they all, once they get the signal, they rush into the same place and perform the same exercises, the same function to repair the tissue and regenerate what's going on in the damaged area. So PEMFs can also regulate calcium-mediated cell fate by promoting proliferation, which means they split and grow more cells, and differentiation, which means that the stem cells start acting and producing more of what's needed in the area, whether we're talking about baby bone cells, osteoblasts becoming full-grown bone cells, or chondrocytes, same thing. This improves the tissue and prevents, actually it can inhibit the growth of tumor cells, things like that. So our body's constantly fighting off toxins that would cause cancer and form, well, it doesn't even have to be cancerous. It can just form cysts, you know, and be benign tissue clots and things like that. The signaling helps to inhibit the growth of that. And of course, as tumors begin to grow, they can become malignant. One more thing I would need to stress is that, you know, chronic stress in the system can really cause a breakdown of cellular communication. And to address chronic stress is one step before the body goes out of normal function. Stress creates dysfunction in the system. So reducing stress and promoting relaxation using energy therapies is really important to keeping your tissues healthy and flexible. Now, energy therapies such as polarity therapy, healing touch, Reiki, Tai Chi, acupuncture can promote relaxation reduce stress, and improve mood, which is beneficial for the body's ability to heal itself. That's why doctors will always tell you if you sprain your ankle, elevate your foot, relax, and relax so the body has a chance to heal itself. Also, supporting the nervous system is important to regenerating tissue, and that means staying calm. If you're anxious, can't sit still, you are not promoting health and wellness. And this can potentially enhance immune function. Now, I want a disclaimer here that it's essential to consult with a healthcare professional regarding any health concerns before you decide to pursue any energy medicine therapy, especially if you're pregnant or if you have a pacemaker. And be aware that the effectiveness of different energy therapies, whether it's Tai Chi, polarity therapy, healing touch, whatever, is these therapies can vary depending on the individual or the type of energy that you have. And I've noticed that the longer the energy's been, the longer the injury has been there, the longer you may need to be treated to repair the damage. So if you just sprained your ankle or broke a bone, you might repair more quickly using energy therapies than if you've had a broken bone that cannot heal for decades. You've just had these problems. That could take a lot longer with energy therapies to heal the wound. Okay, that's my disclaimer.
It's so beautiful though, because I don't think people realize the level of stress that is held in the body, the impact that's going to have on an injury that comes up. And so it's a preventative measure that needs to happen to get that stress level down and really have daily habits that keep putting you back into check, keep bringing you back into balance, rather than waiting until that big thing finally materializes because you ignored for so long. And now it's a full blown, and you have to have a lot of intervention in order to get there. And like you said, it's much longer for the recovery of that because it had, in some case, years to set itself up.
Correct. And the body will always give us little clues. Like it starts out just kind of throwing pebbles at us. But if we ignore it, I don't have time to rest. I don't have time to relax. I don't have time. Then it'll start throwing other things at us. And eventually it'll slow us down. We'll trip, we'll fall, we'll sprain our ankle, your body needs you to listen to it. And if you ignore it, the signals it sends you will get stronger and louder. And if you don't have time to nurse a broken bone, then listen in the beginning and address what's going on, whether it's just stress that turns into an injury, whether it's nausea and gastrointestinal problems that turn into an ulcer. Listen when it first begins to prevent these these injuries from happening later on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Um,
do you want to talk about some of these roles that rest and relaxation play
yeah,
in
let's dive
muscle
into that.
repair?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk about rest.
Yeah.
Rest is crucial for muscle repair and regrowth. And so during exercise, muscle fibers experience microscopic tears. And a lot of times, bodybuilders will work a muscle one day and then they take a whole day to allow the body to repair these little microscopic tears and rebuild the muscle tissue. Now, what that does is it makes your muscles bigger, right? Because you had that time
Mm.
to rest the muscle. And this increases strength and resilience. Now, if you don't do that and you overtrain, you can, you risk overtraining syndrome. And this compromises your musculoskeletal system and increases your risk of injury. You also need to replenish your energy stores. Okay, so rest replenishes muscle glycogen. And glycogen stores energy for future activity. You run out of gas, your car won't move. So when you rest, your body replenishes the glycogen that's been spent. It also, rest reduces inflammation, and we talked about that, promoting recovery and future damage. And it also, rest brings hormonal balances. So if you're burning up a lot of testosterone or androgen, sleep regulates growth hormones, and these are essential for tissue repair and rebuilding. Okay, now let's talk about vibrational therapy as an adjunct to rest, okay? And specific types of vibration therapy can be used as a therapeutic tool to enhance musculoskeletal resilience. And this includes bone health, where you can regulate the calcium ions to increase bone mineral density, stimulate bone building cells, like we talked about, the osteoblasts, and reduce fracture risk. And this is important, especially for people who are at risk for osteoporosis. Building up that calcium store, and mild doctor regulated types of exercise can really help build your bone strength. It also helps muscle strength. And without good muscle strength, your bones can become weak and degenerate. And vibrational therapies can help enhance muscle strength and power by increasing neuromuscular activation and potentially improve your balance and your coordination. And I highly recommend yoga for this and Tai Chi because they're deliberate, slow movements that help improve your balance and coordination to prevent things like falls and injury due to lack of neuromuscular strength. It also, vibrational therapy improves circulation. Again, we're talking about blood flow, oxygen, and nutrients to the muscles and the bone and the tissues that support healing and recovery. It also reduces soreness and pain and alleviates musculoskeletal connections like tendons and things like that, and enhances exercise performance. So the more you exercise, starting out in a gentle way, the stronger you get, the more your exercise will be efficient in generating improvements in the strength and function of the tissues. And this has been shown over and over. Sedentary people lose tissue. Their muscles can atrophy and their bones can break more easily. So there's so many benefits to musculoskeletal system just with rest and energy medicine therapies.
And so I'm going to bring to the listeners the idea that lying on the couch watching TV is not rest. Because a lot of people will think, I'm going to just have a little rest. I'm going to just watch an episode of something. But you are bringing up emotions. You're bringing up the activities of the people you're watching. You could be thinking you're right in it. And that creates, the body doesn't know the difference between the two. So it may not be a restful experience. But that idea of getting a good night's rest, having a nap if you need the nap, sitting outside in the sun,
Mhm.
gaining some of the value of having the sunbeam coming down on you or connecting to nature, and then having the movement patterns that yoga and Tai Chi create to help the systems come into harmony, but also to build that energy store. So I just wanted to say that because so many people have their lazy boy chair, and I'm not to the manufacturer, but that chair is designed for you to shut down systems, and it's not necessarily going to repair. So what you're talking about is a regenerative rest.
Yes,
So I just wanted to make sure that was clear for people. So
yes, it's very
yeah.
important.
And then
Mhm.
when you're talking about the vibration with rest, there's different things that you described. And I was thinking movement, you were describing movement as a vibration.
Yes,
And people don't think of that either. If you were dancing and you had music on, that might be one way. But again, when you think about that pulsing action of the frequencies, like you said, the electricity and the magnet, and creating that rhythmic pattern for the body and moving the cell structure, that creates that vibrational piece.
yes. And it really moves the energy out of places where it's stagnant or stuck, which if you don't, you're going to have pain and inflammation.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Can you talk about a little bit more into the musculoskeletal resiliency? So just that powerhouse that our body is sitting with, and how the rest is enhancing that.
Yes, well, that brings me back to children. Well, and particularly babies. So if you see a child, maybe a toddler, they have so much energy. They're running, 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 and it takes a lot of force to break one of their bones. They have very resilient muscles and bones, and it takes a severe trauma to break a small child's bones. Having that resiliency not only improves your ability to store energy and emit energy to do the things that you want. In fact, I tell my grandchildren, could you please bottle some of that energy you have that my musculoskeletal system doesn't store as well as theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And they get really, well, first of all, they sleep so soundly. They have a lot fewer things to be anxious about, but when they fall asleep, they are out. And I've seen them like go, go, go until the Energizer Bunny is out and just fall down and go to sleep. And then when they restore the system, they jump up and have a lot more of this resilient stores of energy because the body processed it so much better during their rest.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I noticed about them is some days they'll eat so much food. I'm like, I'm out of what you want. And other days they're like, nope, got plenty of energy, don't need to eat. And I'm like, well, I'm your grandma, you need to eat something. Not hungry, off they go. They listen to their bodies, they have that ability to rebuild and restore energy that prevents them from getting their cells and tissues from getting hurt and damaged. And this is something I think we need to listen to. Just because it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock whenever you take your dinner doesn't mean you need to sit down and eat a big meal just because the clock says so. Fill your energy stores. If you just need a cup of tea, then maybe you don't need to eat a big meal. If you're really hungry, eat more. We've regulated our lives so much by the clock and how things should be done that we don't listen to what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
And to to pay attention to what our bodies are telling us makes us more resilient, more healthy, more able to prevent cell tissue and damage. So
Mm-hmm.
if I can convey any message, it's listen to what your body is telling you. It's
Mm-hmm.
really important.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking about, we had a conversation about people and first thing in the morning not eating, and those people not eating until well into the middle of the afternoon. And again, thinking about this frequency and this opportunity to be strong for the system, without that sustenance in the morning, the body doesn't have that frequency going in. And then it's got to operate off of whatever came from the night before.
Right.
And so important to be able to listen to the body first thing in the morning and say, how can I help you? How
Mm-hmm.
can I get you started? Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And some people don't feel hungry in the morning because they had the majority of their caloric intake before they went to bed. They're not like a person who only eats at 5 or 6 o'clock at night and then doesn't eat again until 6 o'clock the next morning. They've gone 12 hours without food. But if you've
Mhm,
only gone 6 or 7 hours without food, you're not necessarily going to be hungry. And of
mhm,
course, our diurnal clocks are very different depending on your personality type as well.
mhm, mhm, mhm. All right, so let's make a connection back to the tea. So
Okay.
let's go back to the deeper energetic integration that happens in the nervous system by how we add these nutrients in, how we add if it's an herb or if it's food piece. You want to just talk about how that supports the healing system.
Yeah, let's talk about energy and tea and food. I think most people would agree that A fresh picked apple has an energetic vibration that's different than the meat in a can of Spam. You know, if you, I mean, you can hold it in your hand and tell that the canned meat or the potted meat has a different energy than a fresh picked piece of fruit that just came off a tree that's had its roots in the ground. And the meat is denser. And I don't have any problem. If you love Spam sandwiches, I am not here to judge you. I'm just saying, note the difference in energy.
Mhm.
It's heavier in the meat. It doesn't flow as well in the meat. Whereas you take a bite out of a fresh piece of fruit, there are these juices and nutrients and flavors that you just don't have in the meat.
Mhm.
Um, and so when you have energy that's of higher vibration and you're constantly putting that in your system, it may not last as long. It gets burnt quickly, but more efficiently. Let's put it that way. So
Mhm.
meat is going to sit in your gut a lot longer and make you feel fuller longer, but it's not going to provide you the high frequency energy that eating lighter foods or drinking certain types of tea are going to give you. And this is important to understanding energetic integration. Uh, Now, let's talk about the green tea. Now, as you said earlier, green tea contains L-theanine and caffeine. And the green tea has a moderate amount of caffeine. It's not like drinking espresso. Uh, and this L-theanine can provide a boost of energy and help improve focus. If you're up in the morning and you're having a hard time thinking about what my day is going to be like, this can improve your brain function. Now, the presence of the amino acid L-theanine balances the stimulating effects of caffeine. This can reduce jitters. Some people get shaky with too much caffeine, and it promotes a state of calm alertness and relaxed attention. When you're relaxed, you focus better, you breathe better. You can skip words or even the entire intention of what you're reading if you don't have good focus. Now, green tea also contains a lot of antioxidants, and it's particularly rich in catechins, which protect brain cells from oxidative stress. Oxidative stress can contribute to neuroinflammation and neurodegenerative diseases. And green tea can neutralize harmful free radicals that and support overall brain health. Okay. It improves cognitive function by helping improve memory, like we said, focus and neuronal processing speed. If your neurons aren't firing quickly, you're, I can't think of the word, that kind of thing going on.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
some research indicates that a link to reduced risk of neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease can be related to drinking green tea. But be sure and consult your neurologist regarding any contraindications in neurologic medications you
Mhm.
may be taking. It also, green tea can help neurogenesis, which is the regeneration of neurons, and neuroplasticity, okay, which enhances the brain's ability to adapt and form new neural connections. If your one brain cell doesn't connect well to another brain cell, you miss. I can see this person's face, I can't think of their name. I can't remember where I put my cell phone. I knew I laid it down in here, I can't remember. You know this.
Mhm.
We've all been there. Okay, these factors are crucial for maintaining optimal brain function throughout life. Excuse me. Let's talk about lemon balm. Lemon balm has calming effects that are strongly associated with the nervous system and promoting relaxation. Lemon balm can also improve cognitive function. Now, this has been reported by the National Institutes of Health, the NIH here, which is the United States Research and Development Department. Lemon balm also promotes feelings of calmness and ease, and it's very useful for addressing hypersensitive nervous system issues. It also improves sleep quality. By combining green tea and lemon balm, it has ability to possess antioxidant properties that protect against cellular damage. It contributes to overall well-being and supports the nervous system in integrating experiences at a deeper level. It's real important to the cell communication system. Balances out the cell communication system. So
And
it's a good tea.
I'm just thinking about, because coming from the fitness industry and, make sure you drink your water. So I was on that, 8 glasses a day, make sure you have your water. And then when I started to get more into the tea and more into the tea company and starting to dive into more about the herbs and then realizing water is lovely, but if you are hydrated, then the opportunity is you can add the teas because the body's going to be able to take the beautiful qualities of those herbs. I don't want to say medicine because that would be trying to spot check it into something, but just taking the quality of those herbs and really lifting all the systems up. And for
It's a
those people,
supplement. It's an adjunct
yeah,
therapy. It's a supplement to what your body already wants to do, but maybe needs a boost.
yeah, yeah. And then choosing, because a lot of people too will choose the same tea. They drink the same tea every morning. They don't change it. I only drink one kind of tea. Or they'll drink one tea, but they'll drink the whole package till it's gone. And then they'll go and try and find the same tea again, which a lot of times, depending where you're buying your tea from, that might not exist where you are if you picked it up on holiday. So to
I
to
would
realize
I would take
how,
that as a signal that your body doesn't need it anymore if you can't find it.
right?
Try something else.
And there's so many beautiful blends, there's so many opportunities. So the idea then that what you choose to drink and what you choose to stay hydrated with can be more than water, and can be an enhancer in a lot of ways. And tea is so much more inexpensive than all the supplements that you might be buying.
Yes.
And you might be putting a lot of supplements in that you don't even require or too much of it. And
Right.
and the tea has a way of finding out just where it needs to go. And that, it just kind of plays on the surface kind of. So I wanted to bring that forward just because a lot of people ask me those kinds of things when I'm at the markets. And what I do notice for myself is when I'm drinking lots of different kinds of teas, all the niggly mm, little signals that the body was giving me, things weren't quite right, but I just thought they're just normal parts of every day. And I can't even describe what that would even be. But those just all disappear. And then
Yeah.
they're just done.
Right, and the body will always search out the signal or the frequency that it needs to heal itself. It's constantly trying to heal itself. It needs to find in its environment what it needs. And I think supplements, to a certain degree, I've seen people take dozens and dozens of them, and that works for you, great, but that can get really expensive. And
Yeah.
like you say, the frequencies in the vibrational energy in something as beautiful and inexpensive as tea can get you similar results without the expense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then we add the intention. Where do you want to go? How do you
Right,
want to feel? What is
right.
it you want to be doing? And then, if you do want to be hiking and climbing, you're setting yourself up for the healing process to go, okay, if that's where that person wants to go, then here's what we need to do in order to have the muscles ready, the tissue ready to go, the will to be able to do it, the energy power to sustain it. So it all plays together.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh my gosh. Thank you for that. It's
You're
lovely to talk
welcome.
about tea that way. Oh, okay. So let's go to practices that people can adopt to help get a physical repair started and how they can have energy awareness and frequency to work with. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, so supporting physical repair through energy awareness and frequency work involves practices focusing on the understanding of how the body's subtle energy fields align with potential benefits for physical healing and well-being. And we just talked about this. If there is a lack of balance and homeostasis energetically in the body, The receptors on your cells, the tissues, the organs will constantly be looking for in their environment for beneficial uh, nutrients, for beneficial signals, for beneficial whatever it needs to repair itself. Okay. Energy healing techniques like Reiki. Uh, Now, Reiki is very prolific in the energy field world, and its therapies are involved in a lot of hospitals in repair. And basically, it's just the practitioner allowing the energy to come from heaven or the Holy Spirit and just channel out the practitioner's hands and the heart to create the harmonic field that the patient or the client's body needs. So you're just creating a field that the uh, the patient or the client needs to resonate with. It's like a tuning fork. You know, you hit a tuning fork and then the other tuning forks start to resonate with that same frequency. So there's not a lot of, shall I say, deep core science. It's more spiritual in its nature. Now, acupuncture is different in that this is a key practice in traditional Chinese medicine. And if you're not afraid of needles, a lot of people get a lot of benefit from these thin needles that are put in energetic uh, intersections in the body and in the field. And so where that energy, it's like a matrix, crosses certain lines, a needle goes in and it restores the flow of chi, life force energy. And once that energy gets rebalanced, then the field and the body restore to health and wellness. Tai Chi is another. I wouldn't dare to explain that. I'll let you do that last. Therapeutic touch is a gentle, intuitive um, movement to balance the body's energy fields, lower stress, improve emotional regulation. And then there's sound therapies, which utilize specific frequencies using instruments, music, tones that affect the body and the mind. This induces relaxation and releases energetic blockages. I'm sure you've all heard music that you just say, oh, this makes me feel so good just to hear the sound of this music. Binaural beats, which would include delta state brainwaves and theta state brainwaves for meditation, deep sleep. This really helps the body regenerate because it produces deep sleep and enhances your focus. And then, of course, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, which uses low frequency electromagnetic waves to stimulate cellular repair, optimizes bodily function, reduces pain and inflammation, and helps to balance the energy field. So now I am going to turn this over and let you explain how Tai Chi helps to build, restore, and integrate the energy in the body.
Thank you. The list is just so incredible. As you're going through the list, there's all these things available for people. And, when they think, I don't know what to do, and there's so much available. So it's starting to ask the questions, starting to dig into the different pieces. From my perspective with Tai Chi and the work I did on my master's and my doctoral dissertation, the connection that comes from the Touch for Health knowledge, which comes down the chiropractic line, which is about the organ system, the meridian or the energy electrical field, and then into the muscles that are related to that system, and then the emotions that are also tied into that system. That's where I got playing and where I love to play, because Tai Chi integrates all of those things together. So you've got your physical structure, you have your emotional piece, and then you have this beautiful, and I'll call it a spiritual experience, because you're with a group of people all there for the same intention, to promote healing and to feel good. And when you have that all working together as one, you're able to let emotions go, you're rotating and spiraling, you're linking up systems to come together. linking muscles together that have been partnered but might have been separated because of different activities. It's just such an empowering system to be able to bring the body back into balance and to do it as a group. And it's lovely to do by yourself and to go out in nature. And I like to go down to the beach and be next to the ocean. It is beautiful, but there's nothing better than a whole group of people doing Tai Chi together. And
Yes.
you
Let me
can
ask you a
feel that.
question about that. I've seen on TV where uh, people are interviewing older people, like in their 90s and 100s, and in Asian communities that they go to the park and they practice Tai Chi every day. I mean, it's a daily practice.
Mhm.
How does Tai Chi contribute to longevity and mortality?
It does have, in all of the research, it does have high levels of longevity. It also has the opportunity for, as we were talking about, mental capacity. Lots of people don't move the shoulder seams or the hip seams. They sit kind of sedentary, they drive that way. Maybe they'll ride a bicycle and that doesn't move, but that really feeds the brain. And Tai Chi, with its open and closing and spiraling action, and the top half, the bottom half, all moving together as one, it creates such an incredible motion that brings all the systems into balance. So
Yeah.
longevity results are amazing. The
And the
dropping,
social interaction. I mean, a lot of octogenarians can find themselves alone or without social interaction. If you're going to the park every day and you're practicing with friends and people you know, that is really beneficial to keeping your mind clear and focusing and just talking and socializing. That whole practice is, to me, I've practiced some. I'm certainly not, well adapt to it, but I love the way it makes me feel
mhm,
when I finish the practice.
yeah, yeah. And you can have that, where the emotions get stuck and you've got thoughts roaming around in your head that just keep going round and round. And in 2 minutes, it's all gone. It's done.
Yes. It
And,
gets rid
and
of
you
monkey mind. I call that monkey mind
Yeah,
all
and you
over
don't
the
have to
place.
do anything. You just do a few movements, bring everything into balance. And I had a student today that had reached for a pencil under the bed and had put a rib out.
Oh
And he
my.
said, I just went to 3 exercises that we do all the time, and I did those three. Everything went back into place, and I felt totally fine.
Wow.
And I thought, now how empowering is that? Instead of
Very.
going, uh-oh, what have I done? I need to go lie down. There's that rest piece, which is not restorative, but it happens. And then to be able to activate everything, bring it back into alignment, and you're done. It
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Tai Chi can be very meditative. I know that. When you're practicing, nothing else comes into the mind. I mean, it's very mindful in its intention. And if
Mhm.
you do it outside, you're connecting with nature and it's clearing and cleansing the energy field.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
I recommend it.
And then we're lucky enough to have musicians that play for us. So we're
Oh,
bringing frequency in
nice.
another way through
So
the
you're getting your
music.
acoustic, your sound therapy as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
And
Very
there's nothing
nice.
like somebody going down the harp, just strumming, and my spine immediately just lights up, knowing
Mm,
that all those notes are
your
coming.
ultrasonic core, your
Yeah,
heart
it's ready to
mind.
go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
so there's just so much that people can do. And as we're bringing this topic today, and we used a lot of big words at the beginning to describe it all. But in the end, what the bottom line is that we have so many choices for self-care
Hmm.
that the question then becomes, why aren't we doing it?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
why is it important to hold on to the stress? Why is it important to put up the blocks? Why is it important to not feel good? And then why is it important that we wait until the very end where it's so far removed and we have so much inflammation, pain, that then we finally pay attention? And we had all these steps ahead of that saying, please pay attention.
Exactly.
You have this beautiful, incredible vessel that you're living in. Please pay attention. Yeah.
Right. Yes, amen.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of all the topics that we wanted to make sure we covered with this series. Thank you
Yes.
so much for the richness that you've
Oh,
brought to the conversation.
it's absolutely my pleasure, Michelle.
As we go to look at what are you doing to restore and rejuvenate, let's ask ourselves a couple questions. Are you pushing too hard? Can you step back? Can you give that release in there? Can you find alignment with the natural frequencies that restore structure, soothe the nervous system, awaken the body's innate intelligence? And as we've explored today, the musculoskeletal system is not just mechanical, it is vibrational. Tuning into frequency and field intensity allows us to restore coherence, reduce wear and tear, and cultivate a much gentler path to strength and vitality, as well as for your flexibility. So let the essence of golden serenity, that's the tea that I've been sipping on, and there's one sip left. Let's bring that in to remind us that peace supports power, softness restores strength, and healing begins when we give ourselves permission to stop pushing and to really start listening. Awesome. Thank you so much, Christina. Let's have that
Stay
last sip.
well.
Mm. If this episode resonates with you, I encourage you to go back and listen to the entire Resonant Body trilogy. Episode 1 was the biophysics of energy medicine. Discover how subtle energy supports cell communication and molecular health, paired with a marvelous Miss Maple tea. Episode 2, Quantum Change in the Biofield. Explore the chakras, the heart line, and the quantum healing through hands-on energy work. And we had the grounding support of Island Vitality tea. In episode 3, this was about musculoskeletal regeneration, learning how frequency and field intensity rejuvenates the body's structure, and we had the calming presence of golden serenity. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts, and I invite you to check out the greenwellcenter.com or go to capebretontea.ca. And if you bring the resonance home, explore some of those teas, see what happens for you, explore what herbs can mean, and explore how bringing nature sounds in, anything with frequency, can help to heal you. Thank you for being a part of this healing conversation. May you continue to tune into your body's wisdom, sip with intention, align with the frequencies that nourish you most, and until next time, drink deeply, rest fully, and let your resonance lead the way. Thank you so much, everyone. Be well.